Hey comrades, welcome to the channel. I'm the Obnoxious Anarchist. Today I want to talk about the exploitation of slaughterhouse workers and animals during this COVID capitalist moment. In this COVID capitalist moment, there have been spikes of COVID cases among slaughterhouse and meatpacking workers.
We turn to look at the spike in infections of COVID-19 at meatpacking plants. This week, the world's biggest pork producer, Smithfield Foods, shut down its processing plant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Firstly, I want to highlight how our relationship with animals can give birth to and facilitate the spread of various viruses, including COVID. Secondly, I want to look at the position that slaughterhouse workers find themselves in, having to work in very high-risk areas while their bosses sleep and relax at home. Thirdly, I want to look at the inefficiency of capitalism and the harm done to animals in the process, all in the context of this COVID capitalist moment.
From Ebola to COVID-19, zoonotic diseases, those which cross from animals to humans, are increasing in frequency.
COVID-19 is a zoonotic disease. A zoonosis, or zoonotic disease, is an infectious disease caused by a pathogen that has jumped from non-human animals to humans.
Animals may carry bacteria, viruses, and parasites. Some of these microorganisms can be transferred from animals to people and may cause diseases. Such diseases are called zoonoses.
These diseases can be spread in multiple different ways.
More often than not, sick animals don't infect humans, but when they do, these cross-species infections, or viral host jumps, have the potential to produce deadly epidemics.
People can come into contact with pathogens from animals in different ways. Via food, direct contact, or the environment.
Dr. Pratish Tosh, a Mayo Clinic infectious diseases specialist, says the majority of foodborne illnesses in your kitchen are caused by cross-contamination of raw meat.
The bacteria you get on your hands from handling a raw piece of chicken, for example, can contaminate not only other foods, but also anything else in the kitchen you touch.
You don't really have to make a leap of logic to conclude that a severed piece of flesh is full of bacteria. You also don't need to make a leap of logic to understand how full of bacteria a slaughterhouse is, where thousands of individual bodies are butchered every day. Slaughterhouses and meatpacking plants are high-risk areas for the spread of diseases, especially zoonotic diseases.
But when looking at the inside of a slaughterhouse, the spread of disease is always going to be prevalent because of the amount of blood and body parts being cut into pieces.
With this pandemic in full swing, slaughterhouse and meatpacking workers are feeling the heat.
50 workers walked off the job at the Purdue plant in Kathleen. The employees who walked out told 13 WMAZ Sarah Hammond they don't feel safe working at the plant during the coronavirus pandemic, and they want the plant to do more to protect its workers.
They're risking our life for a chicken.
In the Oxford Academic Journal of Public Health, Mayon White writes, "Slaughterhouse workers are liable to infections from the animals they handle." They write, zoonoses encountered in slaughterhouses can be divided into three classes: skin lesions, fevers, and conditions of the intestine.
It's not only animals that suffer in this process, it's human beings as well.
Earlier this week, 50 workers walked out of a Purdue chicken slaughterhouse in the city of Kathleen, Georgia, to protest against the dangerous conditions that they currently face inside of the slaughterhouse walls.
One of the workers who left the plant says people still working on the production line say they've been exposed to coronavirus.
350 workers at the plant tested positive for COVID-19. That's accounting for nearly half of South Dakota's reported infections. In Pennsylvania, 130 workers tested positive at a Cargill Meat Solutions plant, and a union steward at the JBS Beef Slaughterhouse died last Friday of a coronavirus infection. Deaths of slaughterhouse workers have also been reported in Georgia and Colorado. Many meat processing facilities employ large numbers of immigrants, including undocumented workers.
The people who we feel like they love, they get them to work from home. Yeah. But they got us in here working.
They're receiving no additional compensation, no additional sick days, and the facility isn't even being cleaned without being empty of employees. Slaughterhouses are a hotbed for disease, and these workers have gotten caught in the middle of it. Purdue has responded by offering hand sanitizer to its employees, which workers have described as being unacceptable.
In the beginning, they didn't make any changes. We continued working under the same conditions. No action was taken. They didn't protect us, nothing. The only thing they did was provide hand sanitizer. We started seeing changes when people started getting infected.
Slaughterhouse workers are usually some of the most vulnerable people in society, and you could just imagine the physical and psychological toll of listening to animals scream for their lives all day.
Often that people that work in abattoirs are individuals just trying to feed their families. When they are subjected to the pain and suffering and animals begging for their lives every day, they have a number of ways to deal with that. There's a very high incidence of mental health issues in abattoir workers, who also then use addictive substances, and drugs and smoking and alcohol.
Now, I want to turn my attention to the other victims in the slaughterhouses, the animals. With or without COVID, slaughterhouses are already a living hell for the animals. Capitalism has forced farmers to destroy a bulk amount of their product to prevent further profit losses during this pandemic. This means that some farmers have been forced to destroy hundreds of animals, or to dump hundreds of liters of raw cow's milk. All that pain and suffering, both animal and human, just to be discarded to avoid any problems with the meat and dairy industry's bottom lines. Some zoos are even being forced to feed zoo animals to other zoo animals in an attempt to recuperate lost profits due to the pandemic. Animal agriculture is dangerous, inefficient, and wasteful, no matter how you slice it. And I think human and non-human animals deserve much better than this. COVID and other zoonotic diseases are directly caused by the exploitative relationship between human and non-human animals. I see many people ignoring the animal origin of this disease in favor of conspiracy theory and xenophobic rhetoric. Then we're forced into quarantine, and instead of collectively questioning the meat and dairy industries, we turn on Netflix and glorify another disgusting animal exploiter. We have had an abusive relationship towards animals for far too long. Hopefully, collectively, we can change that one day.
Well, this is, the pandemic is really the perfect storm of a completely dysfunctional food system. And yes, the workers at slaughter facilities do tend to be Latino and low-income workers. Often they're undocumented, and if they push for protections, if they push for a fair wage, the meat industry works with ICE to come in and deport those workers. So it's a terrible situation. The way that we produce food has to change, because pandemics like this begin in situations where animals are being produced, living in their own waste, breathing terrible fumes that give them viruses, and then it only takes a microbe's mutation to cause bacterial and viral diseases. We will see more pandemics if we don't change the way we produce meat in this country, in fact food, and we need to ban factory farms and stop this terrible concentration that's really threatening our food system.
I'm the Obnoxious Anarchist. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe below if you haven't already. It helps the channel out a lot. Happy quarantine.